if we in fact did immediately pull out of Iraq?
No, I worry about when we stay, because more men die and the war's liable to spread, and that we have to change our foreign policy and we're going broke. So my worry is about staying, because that's where the great danger is. Of course there's going to be a problem, but the problem is because the neoconservatives led us into this war and got us into this mess, not because I want to come home, but if we want to end it, we have to come home. But if you want to save reduce the chaos, you got to get out of there. If you want to reduce the effectiveness of the Al-Qaeda, you got to get out of their face. And until we realize that, expect a lot more Americans to die.
And what do you say to George Bush when he says that he's just listening to the commanders on the ground?
I don't say anything to him because he didn't ask me.
Well, if he did ask you, if you took this opportunity and George Bush was listening right now, what would you say if he says, look, Ron Paul, I'm just listening to the commanders on the ground and I'm doing what they want me to do?
I'd say get new commanders.
So that's what that
because he's the commander in chief. He's supposed to make those decisions, and he's supposed to devise how many troops we need and this sort of thing. So, no, if they're giving him bad advice, he needs new commanders. He finally did get rid of Rumsfeld, and but he didn't change the direction. So he should, change his advisors if the advice he's getting hasn't helped us.
So you are, as you said, you're all over the internet. You enjoy internet news, and that you think it's a great uncensored outlet. Sites like LiveLeak that provide video, and you can do all sorts of different things politically with that. Do you think that's a really healthy thing for the political culture?
Well, healthy that we are allowed to get our views out.
Yeah,
of course. Why shouldn't we be allowed? I mean, this is the only thing that you can have a chance. It's an equalizer. I mean, why should we turn it over to the people that raise $100 million from the special interests in the military-industrial complex, the drug companies, and the HMOs? And should we let these big industries control the government? Why shouldn't we allow the people to hear the message? And this is what's so wonderful, about the internet. And now that they've heard this message, they're flocking to us by the tens of thousands.
Well, just to be clear, I think you're exactly right on that. I wasn't insinuating that was a bad thing.
Okay. Sometimes politicians are sensitive. Have you noticed that ever?
Yes, I have. I have noticed that. Of your counterparts, Ron, who do you think is the least qualified to be the Republican nominee?
You mean on the Republican side?
Yes.
Well, it's hard for me to say it because I feel very strongly, but people will construe it as being personal. And I don't know whether there's anything to be gained by that. But I fear anybody that would advocate the continuation of the foreign policy we have there. And since there's 9 against 1, I guess there'll be 9 against 1, or 8 against 1, regardless of how you count it. I would say anybody who endorses the perpetual foreign policy that we have there, I'd have to say that, and it bothers me.
So let's say something terrible happens and you don't get the nomination. Will you support the Republican nominee, or will you look to the Democrat?
No, since the war is a very, very big issue for me, if they do not support, and I think they're going to come around, I think they have to change their position because they know they can't win. 70% of the American people are opposed to the war. So if I don't win, I predict that the Republican that does will have a different stand on the war than our current administration has right now, because they'll know the handwriting will be on the wall. They themselves won't have personal conviction, but politically they will change their position, or there will be zero chance of them winning. It's tough enough now. So in a way, I really believe I'm doing the Republican Party a great service. And hopefully, we can present our case and win the election.
But if they don't, and there's a good chance, I think, that they won't. If they don't, would you consider supporting the Democrat nominee?
Well, I don't have that much confidence in the Democrats. It would depend on who it is. But I'd have a lot of trouble endorsing a Republican that would continue with the policy that we have now.
All right, final question. We have Texas Congressman and Republican presidential candidate Ron Paul on the line with us. And the final question I have for you is, what do you do on day one? Say you do win. I mean, you are doing good in the money department. Your finances are certainly much better than those of John McCain.
Right.
Say you do win. You win the Republican nomination, and then you're elected president. President Ron Paul, what do you do on the first day in office?
Well, even before or as you get there, I think you have to have a very clear understanding with the Congress, because I put so much responsibility on the Congress and participating and being partners with the Congress in devising policy. But all those major changes I want, whether it's tax policy, the Federal Reserve, and, all these things, that takes time and effort. But the one area that the president has authority to, and he is the commander-in-chief of the military, and therefore we could start saving lives rather quickly and back away, turn the Navy away from threatening to bomb Iran and bring the troops out of Iraq and start neutralizing that. I think it would, immediately change the recruiting habits and abilities of the Al-Qaeda, and the world would look at us completely differently. That we could do within hours and start the movement. And just that message would be a powerful message that we are going to not be isolationist anymore, that we're going to start talking to people, that will, maybe some of our friends would come back and maybe we would have less enemies. But we could do that rather quickly. Now
we wait and see, and we see what happens. I think we learned a lot today. And we learned that Ron Paul doesn't, in fact, think that 9/11 was orchestrated by the government. We did learn that. I am glad we got that clarified once and for all. Thank you so much, Congressman Ron Paul. Thanks for joining us. All right. Thank you.